I am going to start out with the question of why our performance matters. Can anyone here tell me, why do you think our performance, our manifestations, our choices matters? Why is that important?
It opens up to relations to God. Is that right?
That's a good point.
I didn't hear that.
He said it opens up relationship with God, or it can, I think is what his point was. Matthew.
I just said because we have to prove ourselves that we're accepted or something in that matter.
Because we have to prove ourselves. That's part of what I want to talk about. Joe.
I believe that no matter what you do in your life and whatever you perform in your life, if you do something good, you'll have consequences of it. So if you do a good thing, you have good consequences. If you do bad things, you have bad consequences.
So, who does your performance affect?
People around you.
It affects you and the people around you. And this takes the emphasis off of it affecting how much God loves you. See, God does not love you according to what you do. Just the same as I love my son Wesley because he's my son. He makes messes, he screams, he does all kinds of things that would, if I loved him according to what he did, I probably wouldn't love him. Right? And so, there's a common trap here. God loves me no matter what. And then, so what I do doesn't really matter, right? Do you know the verse that says, "For by grace ye are saved"? What does it go on to say? Through faith. That gives you an aiming point.
Not of works either.
Not of works. But what does faith produce?
Faith produces works.
Yes, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Faith produces works. And so, if you believe in God's grace, there's 100% chance that it's going to produce good works in your life. It never produces lawlessness. It never produces all this stuff that gets you into trouble. That's not God's grace. You do not understand God's grace if you receive it and then, oh, I can do whatever I want. That's not God's grace. So, there's a couple points I want to hit here. The enemy, he brings you part of a verse. It is written, you are saved by grace, and leaves out the rest. And then he lets you fill the blank. And you, a lot of people, I'm not going to say y'all all do, but I believe some of you have, come to the conclusion that if I'm saved by grace, then it doesn't matter what I do. And I'm going to get to that of why it matters what you do. Because what you do affects how you feel about God and how you love God. And so it puts a different emphasis on it and a different light. And so, whenever you're making choices for God, doing it God's way, the consequences of those choices, just like a bad choice will bite you, a good choice will make you feel good. And so, the consequences is just a result. The consequences of your good choices are going to lead you to God. That is why your performance matters. And there's another ditch that I think Matthew spoke a little bit about proving yourself to God or trying to please God. And that comes from the belief that what I do affects how much God loves me. And so from that place, you're going to try to please him, and then you're going to end up bitter at him. Did you ever notice that if you try hard to please someone, that you end up bitter at them? If you care so much about what they think and about their relation to you, and if you're trying to please them, that might seem okay, but that actually comes from a selfish motive. It's because you want their affirmation. And so, starting with that with God, if you are trying to please God, then that means you're coming from a place that you don't believe He has given you His affirmation, when He has already. Everyone in this room already has it. There's a verse in Romans chapter 8, I think, that talks about what separates us from the love of God, and it's nothing, period. So, I want you to know today that your performance matters. And you don't have to go in either ditch. You probably will, but you don't have to. Because that's part of believing in God's grace, is because when you believe, then His fruit shows up in your life. I want to make sure that I'm not missing any of the points that I had written down. So I wanted to speak a little bit more about how the enemy, he gives you a 99% truth with a 1% truth, with a 1% intent to mislead you. Because it's true that it's written, you are saved by grace. But if you don't go on to say by faith, then it really wouldn't matter what you do. But it does say that. So it's like rat poison. Rat poison is like 99% good food and just a little bit of poison. Okay. Questions, comments, clarifications?